The test is in 4-part, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
Part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between an operator and a caller. The caller is inquiring about car insurance. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good afternoon, Heartline Car Insurance. How can I help you?
Hello, I'd like to speak to someone about car insurance.
Certainly, sir. Can I take your name, please?
It's Liam Bird.
OK, Mr. Bird. Is the policy for you?
Yes, I bought the car last night. It's still with the original owner, though, until I get the insurance sorted out. Will I be able to do this over the phone now?
Of course, sir. If you have all the information we need to process the application, we should be able to sort it out for you immediately. Could you tell me the make and model, Mr. Bird?
Yes, it's a Ford Fiesta.
And can I have the registration number, please?
Yes, it's 3R1JTW.
OK. I can see it's a 2002 model, is that right?
That's right, yes.
And what's the current mileage, Mr. Bird?
Very high, unfortunately. 90,000 miles.
OK, it's obviously very reliable.
Hopefully, yes.
And how many miles will you be driving per year?
Probably about 6,000 a year.
OK. And where will the car be kept overnight?
Well, I don't have a garage or a driveway, so it'll be on the road.
OK, nearly there. When would you like the policy to be effective from? Immediately, I suppose?
Yes, I'm hoping to drive the car home this evening. So could I be covered from today?
Yes, that's fine. Now, do you want fully comprehensive cover or third-party fire and theft?
Just third-party fire and theft. It's only an old car.
And how much no-claims bonus have you got, sir?
6 years.
Before you hear more of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
OK. Have you decided to take up any of our additional cover options? We have legal cover for a small fee each month, and we can offer a very competitive rate for driver injury insurance. Or we could…
No thanks. Sorry, but I've already looked through what's available on your website and how much it all costs. I've got breakdown cover with another company, and the car comes with a spare set of keys, so I should be okay there. I'd like to take out the 14-day courtesy car, though, and keep my no-claims bonus. So I'll protect that, and I'd like to have the windscreen cover as well.
OK, Mr. Bird. So that's third-party fire and theft with additional cover for a courtesy car, protected no-claims bonus and windscreen cover. That comes to £425. We'll need to see proof of your no-claims bonus. Can you send this to us?
Yes, no problem at all.
OK. I just need your payment details and I can process this for you. So, can I have your full name, please?
It's Liam Bird. That's B-Y-R-D.
And your address?
35 Botterville Crescent, Birmingham, B561ED.
And your date of birth?
The 11th of November, 1969.
And your telephone number, Mr. Bird?
0121 677 9887.
How will you be paying, Mr. Bird? By credit card?
By debit card, if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine. What kind of card is it?
It's a Visa card.
OK. Can you give me the full number that runs across the centre of the card?
Yes, it's 2337 4006 2005 1551.
And the 3-digit security number on the reverse of the card?
OK, hang on. Yes, it's 426.
Thank you. Finally, can I just ask you how you got to hear about our company?
Yes, sure. I found you on the internet.
Thanks. OK, your payment has been processed successfully. You're now covered, Mr. Bird. Would you like us to send your documents to you, or are you happy to download them from the website?
Would you mind posting them to me, please? I'd like a paper copy and my printer's not working.
No problem, Mr. Bird.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.
You will hear a talk about facilities for teenagers at a leisure centre.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to find out more about the new teen programme here at the Park Hill Leisure Centre. I'd like to take you through the programme, the classes available, describe the building itself, and then give you some information about how to register and sign up for the sports and activities we offer. Afterwards, you'll have an opportunity to take a tour of the centre. We also have some taster sessions with our instructors, which we hope you'll enjoy and which will motivate you to sign up. Let's go through the classes first. As you can see from the teen programme handout in your pack, we have lots of classes on offer. Our instructors are highly qualified and have lots of experience training young people. Diana is our dance instructor and she gives classes in jazz and salsa on Wednesday and Thursday evenings respectively. Jim usually takes the football practice sessions, but this year he is branching out into American sports and will be running the baseball club on Saturday afternoons. We think this will be very popular. So Steve will now run the football practice. This class has been changed from Saturday to Sunday afternoons. Steve will also take the skateboarding class on Monday evening. The roller skating course is for beginners, and this will be taken by Stella, who was last year's under-21 London roller skating champion, so you'll be in good hands with her expert advice. The day of this course is still to be arranged, but it's likely to be Tuesday. We'll confirm the day by the end of this week.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now, some of you won't have been to Park Hill Leisure Centre before, so let me just tell you a little about the layout. As you can see, the reception area here is very spacious and there is plenty of room to meet your friends and have a drink. We also have brand new dance studios with floor-to-ceiling mirrors and the latest audio equipment. The dance studios are to the left of the reception area behind the swimming pool. Oh, no, sorry, I meant opposite the swimming pool. Both the roller skating and skateboarding classes will be held in the skate arena. This has also been refurbished and we have a new 5-metre ramp in there which is proving to be popular. The arena is behind the changing rooms, which you can see behind us between the gym and tennis courts. The tennis courts are on the right of the arena. You'll see both of these new spaces on the tour later. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is how to join the Park Hill Leisure Centre and enrol for the classes. First, you need to complete an enrolment form with some of your personal details, including your address and telephone number and the name of your school. If you're under 16 years old, then you'll also be required to get your parents' permission to take part in the classes. Please ask one of your parents to sign the authorisation form attached to the enrolment form. You'll find the form in your information pack. When you've done this, you just hand the forms to reception. You can pay an annual subscription of £20 or, alternatively, you can pay each time you use the facilities. There is a £1.60 admission fee in this case. Whether you decide to pay in one go or with each visit, you still need to complete the forms in your pack and become a member. Once we have the forms, we'll send your membership card to your home address. All you need to do is show this card every time you come to the centre, and if you want to book a class, you just need your membership number on your card.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
You will hear students and a tutor discussing an energy project.
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 21 to 27.
Good morning, Phil. Jackie. I hope your project is going well.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Hi, Mr. Jackson. Well, we've made a start on analysing the different forms of renewable energy, but unfortunately, we don't really agree on some points.
Okay, why don't we talk about it?
Well, Jackie believes that all forms of renewable energy are beneficial economically, whereas I doubt that that's true for all of them.
Such as?
Such as wind, wave, and solar energy, because they're less reliable.
That's a valid point, but I don't think that's a large enough factor to disregard it completely.
Exactly. That's what I said.
However, another drawback is that they're generally very expensive to produce.
Yes, you're right, and that is a concern when evaluating their usefulness in future.
I agree with you to a point, but it's likely that the cost will come down. I read a report in the Journal of Environmental Science that estimates the cost would fall by 20% over the next 10 years, which is significant, isn't it?
Absolutely, Jackie. But you need to think about how difficult it is to predict the future cost of non-traditional energy sources before you believe the report. Remember, in your project, I want to see evidence of critical analysis. Make sure you've analyzed all the information rather than just accepting the information that you agree with. Also, it's very important that you demonstrate wide reading around the subject.
I know. It's just that I'm not convinced that it's going to continue to be that expensive, especially if there's a demand from consumers.
Well, what about if we analyze the costing process as part of our project?
That's an excellent idea, Phil. Okay, so let's imagine that we want to forecast the cost of producing solar energy. How could we do that, Jackie?
Well, I think we'd have to start by working out how many hours of daylight there are in the UK per year.
The meteorological office would have data on that.
Then estimate the number of hours of sun to get a rough total.
And then I suppose we'd need to work out how much it would cost to supply the average home with solar power, and then extrapolate that to get a number for the whole country.
Good. And don't forget the price of power conversion stations. This will have a significant impact on overall expenditure. And there's one more factor you haven't taken into account yet regarding the consumers.
Whether they would change from traditional to renewable energy?
No, but think about what might make them change.
Oh, yes. How much they would be willing to pay.
Exactly. Well done.
You now have 15 seconds to read questions 28 to 30.
So, our project is going to cover three main areas. Firstly, comparing the main forms of alternative energy, solar, wind, wave, and biofuels in terms of production costs. Secondly, we'll take solar energy as an example and do a cost prediction. And lastly, we'll analyze whether they're likely to replace traditional fossil fuels in the future.
That sounds like a comprehensive project with a good focus. Now, what data are you going to use and what approach will you use for the analysis?
Now that's something we do agree on. We want to use the reports you gave us in our last lecture and some statistics from the Government, Environment and Energy Department. In terms of analysis, we're going to use a cross-referencing method where we compare each of the government reports with the Robertson report and highlight any differences. Then we'll analyze these to see why the differences exist and where more research needs to be done.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You are going to hear a tutor giving a lecture on the subject of obesity.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon. Today we're continuing our investigation into obesity. We've looked at several factors causing obesity, including lack of exercise and a general sedentary lifestyle, and the role the media plays in promoting the consumption of high-calorific food. In the coming weeks, we'll go on to examine serious eating disorders, such as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. The decline in formal eating times within the family and the subsequent increase in the degree of snacking that takes place have had a significant effect on obesity. Today, we're going to turn our attention to an example of this, what has been termed emotional hunger or emotional eating, as opposed to the consumption of food to satisfy a physical need. Studies have uncovered how our emotional state can lead to us eating more than we physically need. It was originally believed that negative emotions brought on through depression or anxiety were the main cause of this. But it is now acknowledged that positive emotions can have a similar effect on our eating habits. Not everyone is susceptible to emotional eating, and even those who do suffer have highly individual symptoms. However, there are common themes. It seems that people who are already overweight are more susceptible to emotional eating when suffering negative emotions than those who are underweight. Equally, excessive eating of this kind can happen during or after happy events, when larger meals than normal tend to be eaten. So, what are the signs that someone is eating to satisfy an emotional stimulus? Well, there are several differences between emotional and physical hunger. Those experiencing emotional hunger will feel the urge to eat all of a sudden. This compares to the gradual sensation of hunger that occurs with a physical stimulus. Interestingly, and I'm sure many of you will recognize this, when you're eating to satisfy an emotional need for food, the craving will often be for a specific item, like a pizza or something sweet like ice cream. In this kind of situation, nothing else will really satisfy the craving. When the urge to eat is driven by a physical need, you're far less bothered about what you eat. Emotional hunger makes the individual feel the craving must be satisfied immediately by whatever the specific kind of food is. I'm sure we've all experienced that feeling. I must have some chocolate now. In contrast, the need to satisfy sensations of physical hunger seems less urgent. Emotional eaters will carry on eating even when they're full. A person eating to satisfy a physical hunger will be more likely to stop. Finally, and probably not surprisingly, feelings of guilt often follow emotional eating, but not when eating normally. This has serious consequences for those working with patients suffering with obesity. One way to deal with this is to educate sufferers into understanding the different symptoms of physical and emotional hunger, and to try to help them identify the pressure points during a typical day when daily stresses occur. Being conscious of one's eating habits is the first step in dealing with the problem.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to your IELTS listening answer sheet.